Hey there guys, welcome back. Today we are covering Ketramose, the new Dawn from Aether Drift. A very powerful, competitive commander, going to be a powerhouse for a long time I think. So we're 3 mana, 4/4 legendary god with Menace, Lifelink, Indestructible. Can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from your graveyard and or battlefield during your turn, draw a card and lose 1 life. He's aggressively costed, hard to remove. He's an insane draw engine, he can deck himself out very easy. And you have a lot of infinite, partial, and overlapping combos in this deck, and you can put a lot more in it if you wanted to. He's a pretty broken commander. So, out of the gate, things that just are insane or really supporting for the deck. Sheldred, whenever you draw a card, gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Gaining a 2 offsets to losing 1 life every time with our commander. Necropotence is in the deck for a strong draw, not including the commander, but it has a weird interaction with the commander that could get you killed, so just to note. So let's say you have 7 cards in your hand, you draw up to 8 with Necropotence. Necropotence says whenever you discard a card, exile that card from the graveyard. Your commander sees a card being exiled from the graveyard, you draw another card back up to 8, but you're still in the discard phase, so you still have to discard down. So you end up having a loop where you'll have to get below 8 and try and stop it. So don't play Necropotence or go up to 8 with the commander unless you have an instant or maybe a cycling card in your hand that you can ditch at instant speed to get down below 8, or otherwise you're going to deck yourself. 2 really good supporting lieutenants for the deck. The big Athreos, you can put coin counters on creatures, and when they die or get exiled, you get that creature, so you can start stealing your opponent's good stuff. Kaya, she is here with her great all-rounder supporting theme. She's cheap. Her +1 cleans up graveyards and put things in exile, which we care about, and you can gain life, which offsets our commander. Her -1 exiles little weenie things, so people's soul rings, stuff like that, mana rocks. And her -5 does a lot of damage to target play equal number of cards in exile, and then we gain that much too. She does everything we care about. So for the flickering and the blink, we'll go through the cards individually real quick, and then we'll talk about the combos later on. They're kind of like head scratching and annoying. Goron's Ward, when he enters the battlefield, you can exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves the battlefield, so he locks them away, and you get a 1/1 soldier for each one exiled this way. You've got the Relic Water that can lock down an artifact or enchantment. Restore Angel can reset anything that's not an angel. Feed Hunter can lock down one of your opponent's creatures. Felidar Guardian can reset anything on the board. Flicker Wisp can reset anything on the board until end of turn. And we've got double Cloud Shift here basically. And then the big headache, Parallax Wave, which has Fading 5. You can move a fade counter from it to exile a creature underneath it until the wave leaves the battlefield. And then they all come back too. So the wave can go infinite with a few things. So let's say you have the wave on the battlefield, and then you play Felidar Guardian, and it triggers and you target to reset the wave. In response to your own trigger, you can rip as many fade counters off the wave as you want to exile things underneath it. Long as one of them is the Felidar Guardian, you're good. Any other creatures, even better. You can get more into the battlefield flickering effects going on. So they get all put under the wave. Then the ability for the Guardian goes off, resetting the wave, and because it reset off the board, anything underneath it got put back to where it was, and then the loop just continues again and again and again. Your commander sees this happening and goes, nice, there's a ton of things going to exile, and infinitely at that, and you can draw a ton of cards with your commander out. You will lose a ton of life though, so there is a point where you might want to not do it. But let's say you have Orcish Bowmaster out, you could keep targeting him with the wave as well. He could keep coming in and in and in and in, dealing 1 damage to anywhere you need, and just do it as many times as you need to kill things or your opponent. But again, your life loss to your commander is your main threat, but we do have ways to prevent that. So similar cards overlap. The Felidar Guardian could be replaced with the Relic Water or Goron's Ward as well. They'll work in the same interaction. And same is true for Orcish Bowmaster. You can replace that with Psychosis Crawler, which is whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. And Corpse Knight, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Doing a similar thing, but you require a little bit of the bigger board state to do it. Now, Goron's Ward and the Relic Water, again, these stupid cards, they can go infinite with any of your enchantment permanent types in the graveyard. So Animate Dead, Necromancy, and Dance of the Dead are very unique in the sense that when they come off the creature dies and goes back to the graveyard. So what you can do is you can have Goron's Ward or the Relic Water in the graveyard, and you can try and reanimate them with any of those 3 there. The creature enters the board attached to the enchantment, but your creatures enter the board, you get to exile an artifact or a non-land permanent, you exile the enchantment that brought the creature back, and then the loop just continues, enchantment enters the board again, because the creature went back to the graveyard, and you keep recurring the creature. You have infinite death trigger here, you have infinite ETB trigger, and infinite exile going on, which once again your commander will love it because you're drawing tons of cards, losing a ton of life. And it only gets more confusing when you cover Press and the Vanisher in here too. So whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under control, if it wasn't cast, so flickered or blinked, create a token that's a copy of that creature except as a 0/1 illusion. In addition, Pressing can sacrifice 5 illusions to exile a non-land permanent. It becomes board removal / control. You create a ton of tokens which probably say when they enter flicker something else. It gets out of hand very quickly. You can start disrupting the entire board state. Even better if you start flickering things with like the water, eat all your opponent's artifacts and enchantments, Soul Warden, have multiple copies of her to gain tons of life, multiple copies of Soul and Sad Robot, get tons of ramp, tons of draw. So personally I feel 2 really big cards in the deck that you must have is Angel's Grace and Flare of Fortitude. Both of them stop you dying from your commander's ability, because you can dig your entire library deep, but you have to pay 1 life per card. You've only got 40 to work with, but you might die. But these stop you dying. So Angel's Grace, you can't lose the game, and any damage dealt to you will be reduced to 1 instead. You are doing a life loss, so you will go into the negative, but you can't lose the game until the end of the turn. So you can try and deck yourself, find a win condition in there, and go from there. Flare of Fortitude just says your life total can't change, and you can cast it for free by sacking a white creature. Both of them must have. So fun, interactive cards that really support the game plan. I love Words of Waste. Pay 1 each time you draw a card instead. Each opponent discards a card instead. Love it. So if our hand's nice and full, let's attack their hand and remove their resources. Sickening Dream can be a win con. 2 mana, in addition you have to discard a ton of cards, but when you do, each player loses that much life and each creature gets dealt that much damage. Again, have Angel's Grace or Flare of Fortitude out there, you won't die, just nuke the entire board at once. Solitary Confinement, you have to discard a card every upkeep to keep it. You lose your draw step, but you as a player have Shroud and you prevent all damage that will be dealt to you. You have the insane draw engine of your commander. Losing 1 card to that thing every turn is perfectly fine to not be touched or interacted with really. Aven Interrupted with Flash can come in and plot a spell, so it delays your opponent casting, they have to pay the mana again, +2 thanks to its ability. A really good creature with other flickering or blink effects in response to another spell, so you can use them multiple times. Aerial Extortionist, you can just start stealing your opponent things and they have to recast it from exile. It just buys you more time, and making multiple copies of flickering even better. Soul's Attendant and Soul's Warden prevent all that life loss from your commander, they help you stay in the game longer. Skyclave Apparition can convert non-land permanents that are CMC 4 or less into just tokens. I'd rather turn my opponent's parallel lives into a 4/4 token than them have parallel lives. Charming Prince is an all-rounder, scry 2, gain 3, which could be handy depending how low you're getting, or it can reset another creature too. Then we've got Gary. Everyone loses life equal to our devotion to black and we gain that much life. A really good card to make copies of with Preston, or just keep flickering and resetting them. And of course Sad Robot, that's a no-brainer here. Lightning Greaves is here to give our commander Shroud, because indestructible, but we still do need to protect him somewhat. Suntan can bring back a lot of things in our deck, so if we keep flickering and resetting it, even better. Grim Tutor, get whatever you need. Probably Angel's Grace to stop yourself dying. And then we've got Mill to fill up our opponent's graveyard so we can exile the graveyard away to make sure our commander's online. Remember, our commander has lifelink, so getting him online, swinging in there, get the life back from our ability. So Alter the Brood, every time we have something enter the battlefield, each opponent mills 1 card. If you set up an infinite loop of flickering, you can mill everyone out instantly. Mind Crank, if they lose life, they mill that many cards. And the Ghoul Collar Bell, just a simple tap, everyone mills 1 card. Then we've got the Soul Cauldron. It's a cheap artifact on the board, not in the game, it's like 40 bucks still. It cleans up graveyards into exile, and it can transfer abilities from creatures in exile onto other creatures. Could be handy. The Void Walker just makes things go into exile from the graveyard instead, but puts void counters on them and then we can steal something later on. Planar Void is just a simple enchantment for 1 mana, just everything goes into exile from graveyards if they continue to go there. And we've got Ghost Vacuum Relic, Scrabbling Claw, and the Phyrexian Furnace just to constantly tap and eat up the graveyards, putting them to exile, which we need to for our commander to turn online. Most of them have sacrifice it later game, draw a card, which you might want to do so it's not a dead card in your hand, but the Ghost Vacuum can steal some things from the graveyard late game. Of course, all our removal is going to be exile removal, because that's what we need to do with our commander to draw more cards and get them online. A lot of them are non-targeted, which is even better. So Path and Sword's a no-brainer. Vanishing Verse can exile any mono-colored permanent, and which are making just can nuke anything but a land. Appropriation can steal things, we exile and then we can cast it, even better. Legions of the Ash just nuke a non-land permanent and everything with the same name as it. So if you've got another token player on the board, just they're gone. Exercise and Revoke Existence, just deal with our artifacts and enchantments we don't want to know about. Ossification, go into one of our basic lands and lock away opponent's creature under exile. And then Farewell and Sunfall are 2 board wipes, which are exile board wipes, so they're very effective, especially Farewell. Ramp, yeah, I got land tax in here. I figured the deck's already getting expensive, so why not put land tax in there? If your opponents have more land than you, go and search your library for 3 basics, put them in there. It's a pretty simple mana base in this deck. Of course, Wayfarer's Bauble, get some basics out of your deck. Then Arcane Signet, Orzhov Signet, Soul Ring, and Thought Vessel. Thought Vessel is a must-have with that unlimited hand size, which in terms of tech lands, only one's worth mentioning. Rack Tower, again for unlimited hand size. Terrain Generator, because we can dump all our basics back onto the battlefield. Then Bajuka Bog and Scavenging Grounds can nuke graveyards into exile for our commander to make him get online. And that is Ketramose New Dawn. He is a very broken commander, very aggressively costed, very competitive. cEDH will love him. Lots of combo potential, so many things you can do with him. The deck can get very expensive very quickly. The kind of cards you want to put in here are very cEDH based, so expensive price tag to him. Definitely a lot of people talking about him, like Tap, Moxfield, Reddit. Everyone's just buzzing with ideas and how competitive this guy could be. Yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I enjoyed this guy a lot. Please give us a sub and a like. We're going for 5k. Thank you to my patrons and people doing the super gifts. I cannot thank you guys enough. Alright guys, have a good one. See you later.